Baby boy, it's over now. Gave you my time and my heart, so your words broke.
Hi guys. I know.
You say that every time because it always is.
It's always. I know it's been a minute. I know it's been a while. You all right?
I was just
okay.
No, you know I be moving the table,
yes.
So I was trying to pull it
Okay,
back.
no, that's fine. So we're back, and it's been a long time, but we are actually here about to do our makeup. We do our makeup differently, so
very different.
So you she'll be a little bit more subtle, and I won't be that more dramatic, but just a little bit more. But as you can see by the title, we are going to discuss something that I haven't seen discussed on YouTube, but maybe friends and business. And how that works, and the ups and downs,
or how it doesn't work.
So we'll definitely be discussing all that, and we'll give you a little so we're about to start. We're gonna jump right into our makeup, but you see this? Yes, I know it's finally here, and we have our lashes in, and you can purchase them right now on the website on baggedbeauty.com. We have 3 different lash types. So one is called Maya. Maya is the more subtle one, but still flirty. Okay, yes. And then Monica is like wispy and flirty. Love that. And then Brandy, because our girl is the best singer of all. Hers is a little bit more dramatic, because
So clearly we decided to go with a little bit of a theme here.
Yes.
With the names Maya, Monica, Brandy, a little bit of 90s R&B.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up on 90s R&B.
Hello.
So it seems only right.
So we're going to jump right in and get started, and we're going to talk about, the elephant in the room. So, business partner and friendship, right? And we also decided to do our makeup because it would take the tension away a little bit. But no, so me and Tiffany have been friends since 10th grade. I guess that's 15, maybe going on 20 years now. Was that 15? I'm 33, so.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so about 15 years. A little over. I don't know my math today.
I don't know.
All right, so.
Wrong person.
So we've known each other that long, but we were not friends. We knew each other. We hung in the same circles, right. But we were not friends.
We were friendly.
We were friendly, yes. Just not like friends. We are now.
Yeah.
Definitely friendly. She had her, the people she talked to and was with, and I had my people. So, yeah. But when we all hung out, we hung out. So, fast forward to maybe.
It was shortly after we graduated.
It was after we graduated.
Still, like in the same circles.
Yes.
And somehow we got in a group chat together.
Yes.
On the phone or whatever, because the same people she hung out with, I hung out with. Mm-hmm. We all just got in a group chat. And then we kind of started noticing we clicked or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then we would start to talk, just the two of us and do stuff just the two of us or whatever.
I don't even know how that happened, but yes.
I don't either, but it's funny because it kind of got to the point, even though we all hung with the same people, kind of got to the point, it was like, are you going? I'm going if you going.
I'm going if you going. Right. So, yes, that's the history. And then we lived together.
Very briefly.
Yeah, I don't even think it lasted a year.
It didn't.
Okay.
Not because anything happened.
No.
The situation we were in was a hot mess.
A hot mess. And I knew when they gave us our rent number 666, I was like, y'all don't need to take that up.
I don't even remember that.
I will never forget that, and I should have known. First
of all, we should have known when we came, and they were like, oh, you guys are moving in today? And we were like,
yeah.
I remember that. I remember
we were like, yeah.
Yes. We gave you money.
And it's on paper, and they told me it's not ready. Anyways.
We were just very determined to be gone because we said we was going to be gone this day. Mm-hmm. And there was no rush for us to move at all. We were both living at home at the time. It's not like our lease was up somewhere else. We was just determined to be hard-headed and just go.
Yes, and we've learned we've learned. So we lived together, and pretty much... I don't know if we didn't have any issues because we were never home, but Tiffany said yes. why.
I think so, because we both were also working 2 jobs at that time.
We were working 2 jobs, yes. So yeah, we didn't have any issues as far as that. So
we never really had issues up until recently.
No real issues have me and Tiffany had until we got in business. And I don't know. I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
Things got complicated for a number of different reasons. I'm not going to give anybody any shine, but I will say I was in Congress with someone, and don't mind me. And it was just taking up, I let it take up way too much of my attention and energy, especially given what I was getting back from the situation. So I feel like that was kind of how things started to get off track. And I take my blame for that, because that was my own decision to stay in the situation as long as I did. And I mean, obviously y'all probably be swing lines right now, but I mean, we've all been in those type of situations. So I think that was kind of where things started to fall off the rails. And then the pandemic happened.
So that's what I was going to speak about.
And we didn't know this, because I think we were starting to feel that resentment about different things, and we'll address it, but we started to feel that resentment about different things, and we started to kind of just back away from each other. So as opposed to us coming together and being like, girl, I can't believe, whatever, we were just kind of to ourselves and just trying to deal with stuff on our own. So neither one of us knew what the other person had going on.
Absolutely. I think during the pandemic, soon as I know they sent an email saying we were going to telework, I think the last week in March. And as soon as it hit, like that next week, we started getting a bunch of orders.
Yes, we did.
And things picked up. It was
really
like
quickly. Out of the blue, really, because we weren't, it was slow.
Very slow.
Honest, if I'm being transparent, it was very slow. And then once things really started shutting down here in Maryland, it was like boom, 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 boom.
Absolutely. And so once things start picking up, our responsibility became greater. And I think we were prepared enough, because some days we would get like almost 4 to 5 orders. And most of the time it was like, well, I won't even say on the weekends, because during the week people order too. So we were prepared but wasn't prepared. It was a lot, but we were grateful, because we were able to order more things. But
we was getting action.
We was getting a lot of action, and I surely was grateful. So we were having meetings. At that time, we were having meetings like every week. I think once a week, or every other week. We were having a meeting just to make sure that we were on top of things logistically. I can't speak for Tiffany, but I learned a lot about myself during the pandemic one. Not solely because of the business, but during the pandemic, I learned a lot. And I will say, for me, I was very depressed, very not myself. But sometimes I would slack at my 9 to 5, just to be honest. But what kept me going was the business. It was like, there's nobody else that's going to take care of this but you. And your business partner, but you only can control yourself. So sometimes it would be the only thing that got me out the bed. So I put all of my energy into it, especially because it was a lot happening with it at the time. So I think for me, I started to feel like, if I can be honest, I started to feel like at the beginning of when things popped off, it wasn't like that. So it gradually got there. It wasn't always like that, but later on, I was like, I feel like I'm kind of over. I'm what?
By yourself.
By myself. And I didn't know how to express it or what to do. I just kept going. And at that time, I was doing a lot of other things that I was in charge of. So it became a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. It became a lot, and I just needed my friend. I needed my business partner there for when things were going crazy. So, resentment is the. So I think I started to resent that you weren't focused. Or she wasn't focused. We talking. So that she wasn't focused, but I wasn't expressing it. I'm a person, we gonna keep it all the way real. I'm a person that I don't like confrontation. I don't like, and that's not a good thing. It's not like the best thing.
Because I think what happens is when people hear confrontation, they feel like it has to be like this huge like blow up, or you just never, it can always go left or whatever, which is true, but that's with just communication in general. But I feel like you have to have confrontation, and not every confrontation is a bad confrontation. It's just you coming together. I don't like this, I don't like that, let's figure out how we can fix it.
Absolutely. And that's what I have learned. I've had several hard conversations this year, and I'm like, I think
Last year.
It's last year. Not this year.
This long run-on sentence of
it's 2020.2.0. Okay, that's what this is. No, I had a lot of hard conversations last year, and the way my mind works is like, this is going to be bad, and not thinking this may fix or solve an issue. So that's where I fall short, and then when it gets to like the end of the road, then I blow up, and it's like, that's not how this works.
Right. Especially in a relationship you want to keep.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely in a relationship you want to keep. That's not how this works. And so I just always been afraid of that. And last year, I've learned a lot about confrontation. So yeah, I think that's where my resentment came from, is just because she wasn't present.
I can admit that. I wasn't present. We all have life going on. Everybody just handles it differently. And at that point, I wasn't making the business a priority. And I can admit that I wasn't. Instead of me telling her and letting her know, like, hey, I just have too much on my plate, whatever, I just didn't say anything. And it would just be like...
And I think that's where... I'm sorry to cut you. I think that's... Because my thing is... Listen. it's a lot happening. And I get it. I just wish she would have said it instead of me having to ask.
Yes.
It's a lot going on. Can you take, for 1 or 2 months or a couple of weeks, can you just handle it until I get my life together? Or just my mind together, whatever it is that was going on. And that's what I didn't get. So I always had to assume, well, you didn't say anything, so you must still be here. So did you have any resentment towards me?
Yes.
Okay.
Only because I felt like just kind of like you, where you was like, you needed me to be there as a friend. I kind of had started to feel like you just didn't want to be involved in that situation. So I felt like instead of you just stepping back from that situation, you stepped back from me, completely. And I felt like I didn't have you as a friend anymore. I just kind of felt like, okay, so this is my business partner now. And again, not having a conversation with her and saying, this is how I feel about X, Y, and Z. I just was kind of like, okay, I'm going to just fall back.
So, transparent moment, another one. Me and Tiffany had a conversation, and a conversation was had about kind of staying out of something. And so I said, okay. And I think I took that as staying out of it when it came to her as well, not checking in on her. And so I took it like, okay, well, I'm not going to say nothing, and I'm not going to check in, and I'm not going to. So I took that conversation there, and maybe that was too far. But I didn't know how to handle not being involved and then still trying to be concerned. I was concerned, but I also, and I think my resentment overshadowed my concern, if that makes sense. And that's not even me out side of business though. But in business, I'm guessing, like I said, I've learned a lot about myself, the good, the bad, and ugly. I'm guessing in business, I'm just learning a lot about myself. So there's that. I think I could have been a better friend, but it just overshadowed. So that's resentment. And then talk about
communication.
Yeah.
So like we said, like, I mean, and that's with all relationships. Communication is such a huge thing. And not just like what things you're communicating, but how you're communicating them is so important, because as much as you might think someone understands where you're coming from, or, you know, what you're trying to say, we all communicate differently. We all hear things differently based on our own perceptions and appearances and experiences, or whatever. We look
this thing right in front of me.
So, and even just your own emotions at that time when someone is trying to communicate with you. So just really being as transparent as possible is super helpful, and just communicating as much as possible. Even if you try to lend yourself towards over communicating than under communicating.
That's good.
It's just trying to make sure, again, because it's only the two of us, so it's not like we have like a full business where it's like, okay, I'll call somebody else to help. And then not only is it just the two of us, our stuff is split up between the two of us. So there have been days where I might need something at her house that I don't have, and, you know, I have to come get it, or she'll be like, well, I'll just do it, or whatever the case may be, just to make it easier on each other. And all that just really stopped. So like, it is hard, again, when you have personal feelings towards your business partner, or whether it's from the personal relationship or it's from something happening with the business, still being able to be able to communicate whatever it is, so that you can move forward on both sides, on a personal level and on a business level, is super important. I like this concealer. It's like really melted.
It did. Oh yeah, it looks good. It looks good. Yeah, as far as communication, I'm getting better at it. But again, I don't think you can be a really good communicator if you cannot have confrontation and not combativeness. Yes. Like, let's clear that up. Not being combative, but just being able to confront things when necessary. That's just my thoughts. So I think it's important in business partnerships to communicate. And I think Tiffany said everything that needed to be said. I think over communication is the best way to go about that.
Before we decided to do this video, Crystal and I we were on the phone for probably almost an hour.
It was about an hour. I was driving for about an hour.
And we were talking, and that was that was the first time we had an in-depth conversation in months. Mind you, we're business partners and we're supposed to be friends. And that was the first time we had a conversation that probably lasted longer than 10 minutes in months. And we really just kind of laid everything out. Like, I was a little bit hesitant, not because I didn't necessarily want to talk about it, but I heard something recently on a podcast about like how to have a fight with someone you care about, and I took a lot from it. One of the main things I took from it, well, two main things, is like, you know, no name calling, or not even necessarily no name calling, because I feel like that's kind of a given, but it's like, don't assign your feelings to someone else. Basically, don't make your feeling a fact. So like, if instead of saying, well, you said this to hurt me, or whatever the case may be, when you said this, it hurt me. There's a huge difference.
Yes.
So that, and then the other thing was to the topic of whatever you're talking about. So like, for example, if you're upset with your partner about them letting the trash overflow, don't bring up how they also 2 weeks ago didn't bring you their plate from the kitchen. Stick to whatever it is you're talking about. So there was at one point when we were talking about something, and I said to her, there's a lot of stuff I'm feeling about what you said, but I want to stick to what we're talking about. And she was like, no, let's just lay it all out. And I think even just her letting me know she was open to hearing everything definitely helped. Because even going into the conversation, even though we had said ahead of time that we were going to talk, obviously neither one of us knew where it was going to go. So I wasn't really sure what she was open or receptive to, and I'm sure vice versa for her as well. Because I know her enough to know, and I hope she feels the same, that neither one of us wanted to be a blame thing, and we didn't want to have a conversation for it to just go nowhere. Like, I feel like we both went into it wanting to resolve the issues, and I feel like that's a huge part of communication in general. Like, if you go into it knowing I want to resolve this, and I know the person I'm talking to wants to resolve this, versus kind of feeling like this person doesn't want to hear what I'm saying or whatever, that makes a huge difference. So I think that helped us both going into the conversation knowing both of us wanted to resolve the issues. But there was at one point when we were talking, when Crystal was saying that she was separating, you know, the business part from the friendship part. And I let her get everything out, and I was like, I know you may feel like, and again, this is not me saying to her, well, you didn't do this. It was me saying, I know you may feel like you were separating it, but I don't feel that it was, because I felt like your anger from the business stuff was spilling over into our personal relationship, and she admitted that that was true. So again, it's just like, you want to go into, if you're going into a partnership with a friendship, I say all that to say, if you're going into a partnership with a friend, even though you may try to feel like, okay, we'll keep the business and the friendship separate, it's really no real clear-cut separation unless you're just not a human being. You don't have emotions, because things happen. Like you know, I can get frustrated. Again, I can admit that there were times where, not where I would like oversleep on purpose or stuff like that, but it was just like, you know, if I was upset with her on a personal level, like, I may not want to reach out to her and say, hey, we should have a business meeting, you know, because I'm feeling a way towards her. So it's like, you know, why would I, you know what I mean? So it's just like, even though you may try to feel like, okay, we'll keep stuff separate, it don't really go that way.
So, yes. I used to watch, sidebar, but I used to watch Tamar and Vince, and they had that struggle, but they're married, obviously. And so me and her had this conversation before we started this video. They say, okay, you know, 9 to 5, these are the hours you talk about business, and then after that, y'all go back to loving each other, and it's separated. And
it's a good concept.
It's a good concept, right?
But
life. And so I think that's what was happening, and I didn't realize that that's what it was, because my frustration with her as far as the business would stop me from reaching out in regards to some things I knew she was going through. So I would pray more so, but then I wouldn't reach out because I was, like, go back to the top, resentful. So I couldn't separate that. But also I felt, and I shared this with Tiffany on the phone, I felt that my friend, right? So we're saying business partner and my friend wouldn't do these certain things, whether, and okay, we'll go back to like, okay, just let me know this, you ain't feeling it. So tell me, and then I won't, you know, if a delivery needs to be done, I won't be caught off guard when I need to go. Like, but I couldn't separate how I felt about that and towards what she was going through. So it's definitely something I am working on, I guess, you know, trying to figure out how to separated. 9 to 5, this is what you do. These are the hours that you discuss business. You're angry about business, but then when I text you, I'm asking you how's everything going, how's, you know, your family, then that should be that, and it should be as easy as that. But because I wasn't communicating how I felt about the business part, I couldn't also communicate and ask her how things were going. So if we can't do both. It's like, you have to do both. You have to communicate the business part, and you have to communicate, okay, girl, what's going on with you? You good? How's family? Da da da, and keep that all separate. But if you're not communicating about anything, then it's hard. It's just hard. Period.
Some of this video is hard.
Commercial break, real quick. So I'm about to put on these Bag Beauty lashes. Again, they're available at baggedbeauty.com. You have to, it depends on how small or big your eyes are, but I have to cut a little bit of it off to get my right shape. And then I learned to cut at the beginning instead of the end, so you can keep that flare, that flirtiness. So I cut a little bit,
Like the corner.
corner part at the side. Yeah, the corner. Yes, towards the inside. So I cut a little bit of that off, and then I just measure it one more time, right? Sometimes I still be thinking they too long, but we're gonna try. Okay, that's perfect. So then I take my lash glue, also can be found on baggedbeauty.com. Take it and I put it on like eyeliner.
Oh.
And then I put the lash on.
I be putting it on the thing.
I used to too.
Oh, that's.
You gotta stay in them Instagram streets. Yes. Okay.
You gotta stay abreast.
It's actually way easier.
I can imagine. That's why.
And it dries quicker.
Yes, that makes so much sense.
It dries so much quicker.
I need to go to my explore page more.
Well, I started on our account. I started following like some of those people that be doing like those little tips and tricks. So yeah, so get these lashes at baggedbeauty.com. These are the ones I just put on are Monica. Yeah, these are the Monica ones. The brandy ones have more. They're all together. It's way more dramatic, and those are probably my favorites. But today we're just gonna go with Monica. All right. So we talked about how to separate business and friendship. I don't know if there's a real true answer.
Yeah.
I think
it is. I think it's less about like separating and really just trying to figure out what groove works for
you.
You the partnership.
Absolutely.
It's unless you literally don't have a friendship outside of it, there's really no way to separate it. I don't think.
I think the real answer goes back to communication.
Yes.
I think communicating and both parties being open to criticism, because again, this is just wanting to make the business better, not trying to down you in any way, and then it also helps you, that partner or that person, to step up, grow in areas they may need to grow, but you got to be open to that. And I think that all goes back. I think the last one was being vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's the one you put on there. So
These the same? These are no.
Yes, they're the same.
Okay.
So yeah, I just think being open to that, and that leads us into the next thing we put on our list was being vulnerable.
I think as far as being vulnerable is concerned, I think again, if you have a friendship with that person, you should be able to let them know about like, there's a difference between like communicating, like just saying quote unquote what's needed, and really like being vulnerable with that person and really letting them know like how you feel about certain things. Because you can like just be communicative and say like, hey, I can't do this because X, Y, and Z. Or you can say, I am just really going through it because my mom is da-da-da-da and this or whatever. So there's a difference. So I think in being vulnerable, and I think that's something that, because I had mentioned that to Crystal when we had our phone conversation, like I've known her a really long time, like she said, but I've never really known her to be vulnerable. Like when she was saying she's emotional, I'm like, I've known you how long? And I never really knew that about her, because she just doesn't share that with a lot of people. I don't know if you want to get into why, but yeah, like she just doesn't really share. I don't think she shares that. I don't know what she tells who, but I don't think that she, not saying like that.
No.
I'm just saying I don't think that she really shares that. And I think you would have to be extremely close to her to see that side. So dramatic, yes. Okay, so
I was
about to say, emotional is different.
Okay, so it's different. Okay. Because I was about to say, I feel like I'm really dramatic.
Yes.
So emotional. I am very emotional. I am probably way more sensitive than I am emotional. And over the years, I I've been through a lot, and so a lot of it has caused me to change. I'm not the person I was 5 years ago. A lot has transpired, and I used to talk a lot. I was a very open person. Like, I was open about a lot of things going on in my life and all that stuff. And then as things started to change and I became an adult for real, and I became less naive, because I was a very open, very naive person. I still have a little bit of that in me, but it's not where it was before. So in the space that I was in, I was going through a lot more, but I wasn't sharing a lot. I was secretly crying in my closet. You know what I mean? And so I'm emotional behind the doors, because I feel like, okay, if my friends or my family is going through something way worse than I am, I'm like, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear.
Stop her, because she said we were on the phone. It's like you can't really compare what other people's going through. Yes, objectively you can say, like someone who has cancer is going through something worse. Objectively you can say that, but that doesn't lessen your problems. And
she's right. She's right. But the way my mind thought about it is like, nobody wants to hear what you're going through. Especially a lot of mine at the time were very more mental, way more mental. But I couldn't get out of it. It was something I couldn't get out of. So yeah, I didn't know how to share it. And that's just me being transparent.
And I can understand how that goes, because when we had moved to Laurel, shortly after. I'm not really sure.
You talking about when we
had our 2 separate apartments.
Got it.
We were in, so she had moved to Laurel.
Really nice apartment building.
Like, I would love to go back to the apartment, honestly.
Yes.
But because you're still in Laurel. Anyway, but she had moved and I went to see her apartment and I was like, this is cute. And you were like, they're still leasing, and I'm like, okay. So we got to move in the same building. She was on like the 4th floor, and I was on the 2nd floor. And it was funny because like shortly after she wound up meeting somebody. So it was like I didn't get to see her as much as I thought I would, being that we lived in the same building. Obviously I didn't move there for her, but having her around was a perk. So I was by myself a lot of times, and at that time
you were meeting people.
Can I tell you?
Okay, I was about to say, let's not.
After a while, yes, I was enjoying living by myself.
You were meeting people, okay?
I was enjoying living by myself and I was having fun. But after a while, like, depression started to sit in with me. And during that time, the job that I was working, I didn't have to leave my house. So a lot of times I wouldn't leave my house. A lot of times I wouldn't talk to anyone like for days, and she didn't know that at the time. And again, the reason why I said this is because I felt that same thing where it's like, but the opposite. I was like, you're living your life. I'm not about to like burden her with all my stuff. And the way that depression works is it really tricks you into feeling like nobody cares. Yep. Even though you can logically there will be like a little something that's like, no, I know somebody cares or whatever. It's like a bigger voice inside that's just like, no, they really don't. Because if they did, they would have called you. Have anybody called you by now? No. So, you know what I mean? So it's just the way that it tricks you into really feeling like you're by yourself. And it really silences you and makes you not feel like it's okay to say, hey, I'm hurting, whatever. And then also a lot of times I know with me, I'm very emotional too. And I feel stuff sometimes before I can articulate why I'm feeling away. So it's like with that depression, I was upset, but I couldn't give a reason as to why I'm upset. Because I'm like, I'm making money, I have my own place, I have my own car, but so it's like, what am I upset about? So it's like, it was that thing where it's like, what right do I have to be upset or whatever?
Absolutely. And then I'm very like, I pray a lot. So a lot of my stuff, I would just pray and be like, okay, it's no reason to me even talking about it because
I prayed about it.
Yeah, I prayed about it, and me sometimes, okay, it's cool to open up and you'll get some things off your chest, but I'm like, God, you are the only one. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you the only one that can fix this, so it wasn't like I was not just talking to Tiffany. It was just I wasn't talking in general. Yeah. So,
and I didn't feel that it was. I felt
okay.
Like I didn't take it as like a personal, like, oh, she's just not telling me thing. Because I mean, there have been times where you have opened up to me about certain things, and you're like, you're literally the first person I tell. Yeah. And I'm just like, why? Like, because it would be like the craziest stuff. It's like, girl, you need to be talking to somebody about this. Like, why? And then it would be like, because I'm thinking of one thing in particular. Yeah. Where, when we were in the parking lot, and you were telling me, and it had been going on for like months at that time, I think. And she had told me.
It was almost half of a year before I had told anyone.
You were like, you're the first person I told. And I'm like, what? That's insane. So, like, I say all that to say, she has a habit of not being vulnerable.
Yeah. I just, and with that particular situation, I just wanted to figure out what I wanted to do before I went and told the masses. People, So that was that particular situation. But outside of that, it's just like, I just try to figure things out really with me and God, but I do have friends. I really have really good friends, and I feel like
I'm not even saying that to be like no, but like you do.
I have really good friends, and I can be open with them, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. So there's that. But okay, all that to say, I think it's important to be vulnerable. If this is your friend, especially if this is your friend,
and like a friend. That's my friend.
Yes.
Like,
you can be vulnerable.
Them, like tonight, they will come over because
absolutely.
Like if you know you have that type of friend, please call that friend.
Yes, absolutely. And I think truly and honestly, this could have been handled differently if we were communicating.
For sure. And it definitely wouldn't have dragged on as long.
No.
It wouldn't have gotten to the point that it gotten to. Like, I think we both just kind of chose. I think what probably happened. I can say for me.
Okay.
I think I kind of just made an assumption of like, all right, well, this is just how it's gonna be, and I just left it there. Versus being like, I really don't want it to be like that, so let me try to reach out and fix it because I don't want that.
Well, I know for me, I had a lot going on, not really bad stuff. It was just so much happening. It was so much happening. I don't remember this being that white. Okay. So much happening. It was like I couldn't deal with it because we still had deliveries to take care of. What you mean?
I don't know what.
Okay. So you can use this and tap it in and tap it.
Yeah, I used it, but I just wasn't sure because I wasn't sure which one you hadn't used it.
Yeah. So it was so much going on. It was like I can't even handle what we're dealing with because I'm doing this, and that, and we have delivery. So I can't even talk to her because I don't really have the time. And then it would be time. I don't want to say time, but desire because it was so much happening.
It was so much already, and it was just like this is just another thing.
This is another thing that I put it to the back burner. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So what have you? What you do? Oh yeah, you got somewhere to go?
No.
Okay.
I still don't want to be looking like okay.
That's right. It's true. So what are some things you think they can go away with, like some key points? I know we said a lot, but just like
I think definitely the biggest thing, if you don't take anything else away from this, I hope you took away some good things, but the biggest thing is definitely communication. Like, you hear it in so many different ways about so many different things because it's really that important. It really, really is. I am grateful that we finally got to a point where it was just like, okay, we have to talk about this because I feel like neither one of us...
Oh, so wait. So you're not going anywhere?
No. So irritating.
Just want to be clear.
You want to get it on the camera.
Yeah. So you're not leaving me.
I told her this already. She want to get it on the camera. We were trying to take that. You said on January 16th. Yeah, like, no. I think we, again, both kind of got to the point where I know for me, I even that conversation was still kind of like, I know I needed to have it. And it was funny because I was on the phone right before you called me, and I had got off and I was about to go hop in the shower, and then you were FaceTime me, and I was like, oh. But I was glad that I had that phone call because it gave me a minute to not be in my head about it before we got on the phone. Versus me just being anxious, and I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I was just on the phone, and it was just a regular Saturday and whatever, and it was like, oh, that's right, I'm supposed to be talking to Crystal. And then we got on the phone, and it was awkward at first. It was definitely awkward at first, but again, I think we both were just like, one, we just needed to figure out what we were going to do as far as the business was concerned, and then it morphed into, okay, what are we going to do as far as us being friends? Because I think neither one of us wanted to just stop being friends. So it was just like, we gotta just be grown and figure something out.
Yes. Tiffany's here to stay as long as she will stay. But no,
You're so
because, okay, can you be honest about were you still interested? Even though it was a lot going on, right? I'm gonna interview you about that. Even though it was a lot going on, could you say that you were in and out of being interested?
Yes.
Okay.
For sure. I was. Because I just felt like, do I have the time to commit to it? I felt like, and then another thing that was really bothering me is, I don't know if you remember this, but in the beginning, I think probably around the time we went to that first, like, meeting, dinner or whatever, where did we want to go in?
Our first Chili's. The first meeting?
Yeah, the very first one. I felt like, right immediately after, I remember saying to you, I don't want this to be something where we're not friends anymore.
Okay.
I don't want it to be like, where we're just focused about the business and we don't talk about nothing else. And so it was frustrating for me because I'm like, this is exactly what I did not want to happen. I did not want this. I did not want to lose her as a friend. Like, because I don't know about some people watching, but like, as you get older, people kind of start to fall off and like out of your life for one reason or another.
It's true. And
I did not want, like, I was very adamant about not wanting that with us, because I do consider her a really good friend. I love her. I care about her. She's been there so many different ways, so it's like, I don't want to lose that. So it was just like, we gotta figure something out. Because I remember even, my girlfriend, my ex, was like, well, have you talked to her? I'm like, no, not yet. Not yet. We're going to.
We scheduled it. I could sense, and I don't know if it was because you weren't there, but I was like, is she not interested? Because I'm like, I was saying to her, I'm cool either way. I want to make sure that this is something that you're still interested in.
That's strong smell.
It's strong.
And it's funny because I haven't been able to really smell much because I had sinus issues, but that hit me right in the back of the throat.
I wanted to be clear about where she was, because outside of her just not being there because there were things happening, I'm like, okay, is she still interested? And I think that's something for both of us to have a conversation about. But we left off, and as you can see, she's here.
Is that liner?
Yes, it's really what's the word?
Pigmented?
Yes. So just be careful. It's good. This is the one I use on my bottom lash.
Don't.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to see what it's gonna be. I want people's first. We had a business partner agreement, but we didn't really read over it. It was something we got off the internet just so we can cover ourselves, right? But I think with that, because I think that's important to have whatever the jargon says, and then have a separate one to really map out, I think, the worst case scenarios.
Yeah, I agree.
I learned from us to, and then you'll learn things as you go. Like, everything will not be planned out. Things will happen. Right. But to have a general concept of how you will be as a business partner, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then what you expect from your business partner. Writing all of that down. Communication. Let's separate business and friendship, and give it a time. Like, be specific. All that stuff can be adjusted, but be specific in the beginning, so that it'd be like, girl, remember what we said. we said we would do this, we said we would do that. We still want to remain friends. We still want to see this business prosper. This is how has to work. Because you can have a great business, but if you have a business partner and y'all both are butting heads, how are you going to go to the top? And not seeing eye to eye, and the communication is just horrible. There's no way you can really have a successful business. I would say small Black-owned business that way. Okay, because we got this with our own money. It wasn't like money was just coming in and we started over with so much money. No, so you gotta have communication, and I think having that agreement, 2 separate agreements. I think that's all, right?
I think so.
We got through this without crying. I think we did good with the makeup and stuff. We appreciate you guys so much. We see all the comments, all the likes and subscribers. So before you leave this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Okay. Like, comment, and subscribe. We want to hear your thoughts on this. Have you been in a business partner situation? Have you dealt with this past, present? Just leave your comments, questions. We'll give you as much tea as we can, and we really appreciate you guys. And don't forget, Bag Beauty lashes at baggedbeauty.com. Go get them right now. They can be shipped all over. So the country. So the country. So
the U.S.
Yes. So is there anything else?
I just wanted to say something that I noticed really fast. Like, look at my face and look at Crystal's face.
What?
Look at the fact that she was finished before me, and she did way more than I did. I barely look like I have anything on. And I'm still waiting on her to put my lashes on.
I do this often, so I have a routine. That's it. That's all.
And then, that's right. I don't have my stuff, so my routine got thrown off. We're going to use that.
We're going to use that as this right now. We appreciate you guys. Again, leave the comments below because I know there will be some. And I love you guys, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.